That fifth construction truck was the last straw. Its heavy tires rumbled across the old oak bridge, shaking every beam my great-grandfather had carved with his own hands 100 years ago. I watched from my porch as the final crack split through the main support, and the bridge gave way with a groan that echoed across the creek like a dying breath. And there she was, Margaret Hensley, the HOA president, standing smugly at her window across the street, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. I could see the faintest smile tug at the corners of her lips. She thought she'd won. For months she'd been sending trucks across my family's land under the guise of community improvement. First, it was landscaping, then pipe repair, and now creek reinforcement. Every excuse was a nail in the coffin for the bridge that had stood longer than our entire neighborhood combined. When I confronted her last week, she said, "Oh, Henry, it's just a bridge. The HOA has to maintain safety standards." Safety standards, that's what she called it. But I knew the truth. That bridge stood between her and the creekfront property my family had owned since before this town even had a name. Once the bridge collapsed, she'd have reason to file an emergency demolition order. Then she could rezone the land and sell it to that real estate developer who had been sniffing around for months. I'd seen the paperwork, tucked neatly in her office drawer when she left me alone to discuss compliance fees. She thought I wouldn't fight back, but Margaret didn't know who she was dealing with. I'm a retired Army Corps engineer. I've built bridges that survived mortar fire and floats, and I wasn't about to let one airway tyrant steal the land 4 generations of my family had protected with their sweat and blood. The night after the bridge fell, I went down to the creek with a flashlight, boots sinking into the mud. The moonlight danced across the broken timbers. I touched one of the shattered beams, black walnut, hand-hewn by my great-grandfather himself. "This isn't over," I whispered. 2 days later, I filed a report with the county, complete with drone footage, dated blueprints, and a paper trail of unauthorized HOA expenditures that all led straight to Margaret. Turns out she'd been funneling community funds into a private landscaping company she co-owned with that same developer. While she was preparing to sell the land, I was preparing my case. When the county inspectors showed up, her smug expression cracked for the first time. She tried to play it off. "A misunderstanding," she said, "but the evidence was too sick to wriggle out of." And that's when I unveiled the final piece. I'd rebuilt part of the bridge already, using reinforced steel beams and new concrete footings. The inspectors were impressed. They approved my permit on the spot, declaring the structure historically significant. The county froze all HOA development rights near the creek,